Welcome back to more Sonic Colors Ultimate. Last time, we got through Starlight Carnival, so this time, we're continuing to make our way through Planet Wisp. I think what makes Planet Wisp's music stand out the worst is because it has two distinct identities, one of which is not entirely captured properly in the remix. Because it's like, you start out in like the nature-based part of the planet and then work your way into the industrial part. So the techno works for the industrial, but again, the remixes in Colors Ultimate just immediately launching into the techno, I think doesn't quite fit as nicely with like the style that they're trying to establish in the original, if that makes sense. Again, I think these are good songs, like in a vacuum, like, you know, removed from the original. These are like solid remixes. It's just, yeah, because of the way they fit with the stages, it doesn't quite mesh, and that's why they tend to stand out a lot more. In some ways, I feel like a lot of the other stages don't have as strong of like tone and visual identity, if that makes sense. There was also like glitches in this stage at launch where like the smokestacks in the background were a little bit glitchy looking. Again, to me that's not like a big deal because it's so background. I probably wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't pointed out because I'm not really paying attention to the background if I'm actually playing. I'm paying attention to Sonic. Sometimes these stage endings kind of sneak up on you. Like, you think you're just, like, pretty far into the stage, but then it just ends. And again, that's just kind of the problem with Colors in general. That's fine. The top path is actually really difficult to stay on, in my opinion, because of timing the like, lasers from the enemies. Yeah, just as, like, a stage feels like it's kind of getting into a groove, then it ends. That's kind of a problem with a lot of 3D Sonic games in the modern era, but it definitely stands out a lot in Colors, and obviously this is not the worst example, there's a worse example. Again, I'm hoping, in theory, to get to that at some point. Not too long ago, actually, if my current planned schedule holds up, actually. Not long after this, or not long before this series, I got through more of the 2D Sonic games. So actually, this is partly because I figured now would be a great time to start kind of easing back into the 3D side of things. And since there was still this version of Colors that I hadn't gone over yet, I figured this would be a nice way to, yeah, kind of ease back into covering the rest of the 3D Sonic games that are left over, many of which are not the best remembered, to be blunt. I am amazed I made that cycle, to be honest. I thought I was going to fall. But yeah, you can hear it in the original, the way it starts slow and then builds. It really fits the first act well, because you start out at the nature part and then make your way over to, like, yeah, the industrial part. And that ambiance is kind of lost. This might seem like a really, like, odd complaint, but after playing through Frontiers, I'm not the only one to make that slip up, to be honest. I've seen a lot of people be like, Forces! No, wait, wrong game. Having just played through Frontiers, it's strangely refreshing using, like, a boost and actually making it where you're supposed to go. That feels like a very, like, small thing to ask of a game, and yet I feel like that is a problem with Frontiers, and sometimes, like, the way momentum works, you lose all your speed, and then can't make it through scripted sequences. To be fair, that's also a problem with forces. There's one scripted sequence I can think of that definitely glitches out a little bit if you don't have like the precise amount of momentum you need. So yeah, it is like oddly refreshing actually not having to worry about like, will I be able to make this even if I'm boosting? And yeah, just having everything work, even though I do think, you know, full disclosure, I think Frontiers is actually a pretty solid game. There are definitely some quirks, to put it like politely. Alright, so the camera is not being cooperative, there we go. Goal's up there. I can actually probably use laser to get there, huh? Might be a little bit easier than platforming. Again, because of the game crashing partway through my first attempt to record the Egg Shuttle mode, I don't remember if this was in this recording or the previous one, but one other problem actually at launch was the Laser Wisp was glitched, visually. Like, it worked fine, but the laser didn't, like, it didn't have its full illumination, it looked really dim, which actually made it very difficult to line up certain laser sequences because you could barely see the laser. And yeah, they did fix that at least, so it does look like it should. Yeah, that was definitely an issue at launch. I actually didn't play the game at launch, I picked it up on sale much later for the purposes of this Let's Play. Yeah, I specifically went with the Xbox One version because it seemed like the best bet to actually, you know, present the game in a relatively playable manner, which it really isn't that bad. It's just, it's got some like rough edges. I say as I'm having a really hard time climbing up this like sequence here. There we go, finally. I want to say this is another stage that ends really abruptly. Yeah, there's the goal. And I want to say it's this level, actually, that kind of fuels the theory that levels were originally intended to be linked. Because that little ending sequence where you could, like, run up that little spiral, I'm pretty sure that shows up in this level, like, at the very beginning. Or at some point in this level it shows up. Which, again, lends credence to some of these levels originally being connected and then split off to kind of, yeah, make more levels out of them, basically. In general, I do like Planet Wisp, again. I kind of feel like it sums up Sonic as a character really nicely, because Sonic has always kind of had a theme of, like, you know, Eggman capturing all the animals to turn them into robots and things like that, and Sonic is trying to, like, protect them, and then you see all, like, okay, that's not what I meant to do. I'm amazed I survived that, to be honest. I'm playing with fire, but like Sonic, you know, saving all the animals, and then all the like flowers grow, because you stop like, you know, the like robot invasion, and you know, nature is preserved and everything. So yeah, I almost feel like Planet Wisp, because of like this like nature planet that's slowly being taken over by like industrial plants. This is the section where it's like this is just the ending of the previous stage. It definitely feels like it sums up like Sonic as a character really nicely. I almost wish the game went that deeply into potential theming, but it really doesn't. This is considered one of the shallowest Sonic stories, which is part of the reason why it's to this date the most like polarizing. You know, a lot of people really love colors, a lot of people really hate colors. I like it a lot. I don't like this level though. I have specific memories of this stage and hating it. Like, I'm not even kidding with that, by the way. Like, yeah, I have very, yeah, vivid and not positive memories of trying to climb up this and falling a lot. So, let's see how this goes. If we can avoid falling, I definitely appreciate that, to be honest. I say as I immediately get sniped by a laser, so good start. My problem with this, especially on Wii, is it's like kind of hard to keep track of where you are, because Sonic is actually kind of small on the screen when it pans out. And we have the Ferris Wheel Part 2. This is intended to be fought with Spike, which is not as fun as Laser, if you ask me. I might not even worry about the quick kill, just because I don't like this fight. Trying to do this fight specifically with Spike is not my favorite thing in the world. I mean, we might as well try, but I don't think it's gonna work out. But yeah, once you get Spike, you can basically stick to these and make your way to the boss, like so, and it does more damage if you have Spike activated. Yeah, in general, I find this fight a lot more unwieldy, so I definitely prefer the first fight, even though it's like kind of laughably easy in all fairness. I also feel like some of the lasers aren't rendering properly. Like, they do look a little bit faint here, even though like the Wisp laser is fixed. I almost feel like these are more faint than they're meant to be. These are really hard to avoid. Yeah, I definitely think the first fight's a lot more fun. This one's just, to me, kind of annoying, to be honest. I also have no rings, so I'm definitely worried, but luckily we only had one more hit to go. Not a great fight, but we got through it, thankfully. And with that, we've wrapped up Planet Wisp. So next up is Aquarium Park. I have a very distinct memory of Aquarium Park. The problem is, I don't remember which act it is, but there's something I really despise in this particular zone. Also, there's a lot of popping in the background. Again, if that wasn't pointed out in, like, you know, critique videos, I don't think I would have even noticed, to be honest. And that's kind of like part of the reason why I wanted to do revisit for Sonic Colors, Ultimate specifically, because like a lot of people like to talk about how broken this game is, and to be fair, it was like really broken at launch. But yeah, like nowadays it's actually in pretty okay shape, and I fully expect the game to crash just because I said that. So yeah, like, if you don't have a way to play the Wii version, and you have like an Xbox or a PlayStation 5 or something, again, assuming they fix the save corruption, which I actually don't know, this is still an adequate way to play the game. Would it be my first choice? Probably not, but I definitely still think it's, yeah, a perfectly, like, suitable way to play this game. At launch, I definitely could not say this, but now I can say with full confidence that, yeah, I think this version is still okay enough to recommend if you haven't played Sonic Colors, and if you want to play Sonic Colors. Also, there was a glitch where those enemies, whenever enemies had to fall, my theory is it's frame rate related because of going from 30 to 60, but the enemies fell at double speed, which, yeah, to me feels like they were tied to frame rate, and then they didn't untie them when bumping up the frame rate. That happens a lot with some programming, where like a lot of older games actually have like physics tied to frame rate, so if you bump that up, certain physics aspects will just be doubled. So yeah, that's kind of why I theorize that's the case. I actually don't know if that's true or not, because, to be fair, that also did affect the Switch version, which could just be a case of they messed up the frame rate on the other versions, and then when they brought it back down to 30, it was still sped up because of them changing the frame rate cap, if that makes sense. A lot of times when I talk about like technical stuff like this, I always kind of hesitate, because it's like, yeah, I'm not an expert on this topic. It's just me kind of speculating based on my like vague tech knowledge that I have. That's like just the theory that makes the most sense to me, basically. I think I don't like this stage. Aquarium Park is weird because I love the ambiance of it. Actually playing it though isn't my favorite. There is a lot of like questionable levels in Aquarium Park. Nothing like, you know, unplayably bad or anything, but there's definitely some things where it's like, yeah, I wouldn't have, never mind, this is easy. I half expected that the level I was dreading would be the next one, knowing my luck, but we're spared for now. I say this, but this level is also kind of a chore to get through. Yeah, other than some graphical problems, I feel like Aquarium Park, there's not a ton to say about it. Like, I feel like the music is actually pretty alright. Like, and that's a high bar, because Aquarium Park, in my opinion, like, from what I have experienced, is probably one of the better liked songs. But like I haven't heard many complaints about this like remix. Yeah, it's mostly Planet Wisp, and I think having to pay for it also makes Planet Wisp stand out even more negatively than it would otherwise. So yeah, I definitely feel like the aesthetic of Aquarium Park is fantastic, but actually playing it, it's not my favorite thing. Almost feels like a Sonic tradition to have a really pretty level that's also like a complete pain to navigate. So yeah, let's use Rocket to speed this up a little bit. I have no clue where I'm going at this point. I'm a little turned around, but it's okay. It's also weird getting used to like X to boost again, to be honest. So far so good as we enter Aquarium Park, but we'll hopefully get through the rest without too much issue as well next time. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more Sonic Colors Ultimate.